Okay, so today's tomato review is going to be on the Jersey Devil. We are revisiting this tomato. I have reviewed this in the past, but this year we did really good with the Jersey Devil tomato, and I just want to re-review it. Probably not going to revisit this tomato for a while after this year because I got so many other varieties to grow that I can't focus on this one. I do have plenty of seed for it, so don't hesitate to buy the seed if you want it. So anyway, this is the Jersey Devil. Let me move this knife. And this is what it looks like. Now this is a big tomato. This is very big. It's big as my hand right now. And I got a big hand. So it's as big as my hand. And you can see it's quite a gorgeous... You can see the nose. See, it looks like somebody's face. Hey, what's up, guys? And then we got this one here. Now there's more in the plant, they're just not ripe. Plenty more on there. Got plenty to go. Nice and large. These are about the largest I ever got these tomatoes. These tomatoes never got this big for me. This year they got absolutely enormous this year. Probably because I grew them in the ground, you know. That's what the inside looks like. It's a little bit on the hollow side, but a lot of times it's not hollow. It's just this year they happen to be a little on the hollow side. Juicy, juicy, juicy tomato. Let's cut a nice slice of this sucker out. Do a bricks. See what it tastes like. You just need 2 drops of tomato juice for the bricks meter. That's all you need. Okay, so that's about 5. Just like every other tomato this year is all in the 5 range. But there, a lot of them, even though they're not, like this tomato I'm expecting to be like 7, 8. A lot of the tomatoes that are coming in on the 5 range this year, normally I would be like, that's terrible tasting. They're coming in, they're tasting great. They're lower in flavor and lower in sugar in general, but so is the acid. So the whole balance of the tomato is low. But the juiciness and the texture of the tomatoes this year has been really good. So anyway, here it is. And let's give that a go. I don't think there's actually any way to describe a Jersey Devil tomato. These tomatoes are absolutely delicious. I just wish they were more productive. Now, I've heard it from a lot of other people, and they really don't have a lot of luck growing this tomato. They really struggle to grow this tomato. And I've struggled as well, so don't feel like, you're the only one. I've struggled growing this tomato as well, and I'm not sure why it gives you such a hard time to grow. Blight comes in and really messes you up 9 out of 10 times. But if the blight wasn't there, this tomato would be an absolutely heavy producer, but it's generally a later season producing tomato. It doesn't seem like it wants to put out tomatoes mid-season. Forget about early season, but even mid-season, like, end of July, August, somewhere around there, you should be already starting to harvest some tomatoes. Not with this one. This one, it likes to wait all the way to about mid-August to late August, and then you start getting your red tomatoes like I got here. And then all the other green ones will start coming in as well. But it's a later producer, and because of that reason, usually get wiped out by the blight and everything else. So that's probably why everybody has a hard time growing this tomato, is simply because of that reason. But I'm going to be honest with you, this is up there with some of my favorite tomatoes. The flavor of this tomato is absolutely delicious. And this particular tomato, tangy, the sweetness was probably around 24, something like that, a little under 25. And I would say the tanginess was getting close to 30. So the balance wasn't perfect, but the tanginess on this tomato and the stronger aftertaste that it leaves in the back of your tongue, that combination, when it gets to the back of your tongue, it sticks around a while. And I'm a big fan of that part of any tomato profile. I'm a very big fan of the tomato flavor hanging around after you eat it. I really like that effect on my palate after I'm eating a tomato. It's a way of your body savoring that flavor. Let me take one more bite on this and we will end this review. Even though this tomato has a little bit of hollowing on the side, it's still absolutely delicious. That you cannot You have to grow a Jersey Devil to know what I'm talking about. Even though it's slightly more tangier than sweet, that tangy flavor, something special about that tangy flavor. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's a very unique tasting tomato. It's very, very special. The Jersey Devils are known to be, you know, some of the best tasting tomatoes out there. I think there was another one. I forgot what tomato it was where the Jersey Devil came from. There was another tomato. It's like the Jersey Devil is actually an improved version of another tomato that was grown. There's a whole story about the Jersey Devil tomato. You got to read the whole story about it. But I really have to agree with a lot of people say about this tomato. It's one of the best tasting tomatoes out there. If you're a sauce person, that is your tomato. But it's hard to grow and it's hard to get tomatoes out of it. But if you're a sauce person, if you're looking to grow tomatoes for sauce and you want to experiment with a different variety of tomato, this is one of the tomatoes you're going to want to use. The flavor profile in this particular variety of tomato will make you an absolutely superb tomato sauce. Absolutely. Don't remove the seeds. Don't even skin the tomato. Don't peel it. Don't blanch it. What I do when I make sauces, I like seeds in my sauce. Maybe you don't, but I do. I like to have the seeds in there because that gel that's around those seeds, that adds the flavor of the tomato to your sauce. So you take that out of there, you're going to need to compensate now. You got to add more basil, more oregano. So what I do is I squeeze my tomatoes first. I get all the seeds in a jar, or a dish, you know. I mean, I get all the seeds out of there, and I get them first. Then I take the cores out of the tomato first. If they're big green shoulders, I just take the whole thing out. I don't want no green shoulders or cores in my sauce. So I remove those. Then I take all of whatever's left, the flesh. See how I did this? It's empty. I squeeze the seeds out. That I'll cut upstairs when I bring it up for sauce. I'll just cut those out. I core them. Take those out. And then I take all the flesh part and I put it in a blender and I blend it for about 1.5 minutes until it's completely liquefied. Then what I do is I will add my green bell pepper, my onion, my garlic, and whatever spices I'm going to use, marjoram and oregano and basil, and a couple other things I add in there. Now I also add my another trick to working with tomatoes. I don't want to digress, but I'm trying to tell you how to make tomato sauces, and this is the tomato to use. Well, if you're going to do that, you want to keep the seeds. But one of the tricks to when you're making fresh tomato sauce, one of the problems is that the tomato sauces get very liquidy, and people tend to boil the sauce down. You're killing your sauce when you do that, guys. You're killing the sauce. You don't want to boil your sauce down to the point where it's becoming like a thick. That's not how you do it. You got to add something to infuse to the tomato. I use olive oil. I use about maybe a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I infuse that into the sauce. Yes, it still stays liquidy for a while. But like if you're making baked ziti or something, all that liquid will absorb into the noodles. So you don't overcook your noodles. You leave them a little on the hard side. When you make your baked ziti, you're putting it together with the sauce. It needs that moisture. So now it's taking up the tomato juice. I don't want to digress to tell you how to make sauce. But I definitely recommend you trying this tomato. Jersey Devil is an absolute winner. A little difficult to grow. You're going to have to put some energy and time into growing it. You're really going to want to focus on this tomato. In general, if you're not, if you're a beginner gardener or something, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this tomato for you. But if you're a well-seasoned gardener and you grow tomatoes and you know what I'm talking about, then I would suggest you just buy this tomato for the year and focus on the tomato. You will get a very, very good yield. All right? So that was my tomato review for the Jersey Devil tomato. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.